Hello, 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 hello. Test, 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 test. Audio should be good. I took down my little boom mic I had because it was such a fucking nuisance, and I got a new monitor. But I don't know if you guys recall, but last year sometime, I think I was like in the middle of a stream. I was either in the middle of I was in the middle of a trade, and I leaned back on in my chair, and my headphone was attached to my tower, and it just yanked it off the top of my desk. And when it hit the ground, it like knocked all of my little components loose. And I think I fucked my graphics card up because one of my little HDMI ports doesn't work anymore. So I bought this new monitor, and like I cleared off my desk, and so I have a 3-monitor setup now. And I'm like, why in the fuck isn't this thing working? And I've been trying to like mess around with it. Turns out my graphics card's messed up. So brand new graphics card's coming in today. And yeah, really excited about it. Anyway, long story short, the audio might be a little different because I repositioned it, but have no fear. The squeaky chair is here. All right, so let's talk about the Bitcoin market. So let's start on the daily and work our way in. So let's start with the cloud here. And I need to move this guy over. So the way it's set up with the cloud, we have a potentially bullish setup. If you watched my video, my little brief update thing that I did on Monday, then this should be like a continuation of that discussion. So right now, what we're looking for is for the GQ to puncture to the cloud. Right now, it's not really doing the coolest things in the world right now, but we did find support right here. So let's zoom in on that little thing. So right here, I think it was like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I talked about how the 200 and 50 EMAs are acting like creeks. For the white coffee and traders out there, and you can see here that it jumped the creek here on very good volume, and we saw expanding volume on the way up, which is always good to see on a sign of strength slash JAC, jump across the creek sort of dealio there. And so it's very possible, and is looking really good for the setup right now, that this pullback here is the BUEC. So the back up to the edge of the creek, last point of support, whatever you want to call it. But it found support right where we would expect it to find support from a white coffee perspective, right? And that's right on the 50 EMA, which also has a nice overlapping on the daily Kijun. So daily 50 EMA slash Kijun. Oops. And the Kijun is this, it's the slow moving average for the cloud setup. So it's this red line here, and then the 50 is the blue, right? So 50 Kijun there. And you can think of them as like fancy slow and fast moving averages basically, but they're a little bit more dynamic than just the typical EMA or simple moving average. But for the sake of this discussion, they're basically just slow and fast moving averages. But it did find support right. We were right where we would expect it to find support. I was hoping to see support on the 200, but the 50 EMA is the next line of support. And we could see here that because the price moved so suddenly, look how the slope of the 50 just really caught up with the price, and it met it halfway. And when we do a fib retracement of this thing, once again, we see it right on the 50% retracement. So there's a large confluence of stuff going on here. If you follow like the Wyckoff stuff, 50% retracement is really what we want to see for a BUEC slash last point of support test. Anything more than 50, it gets kind of sketchy. 61 is like, maybe this isn't last point of support. Maybe this is going for deeper tests, but 50%, really good. So we got the 50%, we got the daily Kijun and the 50 EMA. So really great confluence of support here. And it just so happens that it lines up with that New York Stock Exchange group of guys that are opening up a futures market that actually settles Bitcoin. It has physical settlement. So that could potentially be some of the biggest news, I don't know, maybe so far in terms of like widespread adoption. So that's a really big deal. And when we analyze market from when we analyze a market / trading range from a Wyckoff perspective, this is like the timing of that news with this back up to the edge of the creek is like check. This is ideal situation for the next upward leg of the markup. Sorry, my dog is like growling at someone at the door. Hold on, let me go address her. Sorry, I think my graphics card just got delivered and my dog was like freaking out because there's an Amazon delivery guy on my porch. Anyway, so typically with these reaccumulation or distribution trading ranges, just trading ranges in general on a macro scale, we see this a lot in equities, and I'll show you guys a couple of examples of this. But what happens typically is you see this trading range developing, and you're kind of just sitting there. You're like, man, this is obviously in a trading range. The volume is moving around, and you're sitting there waiting. You're like, what would cause us to break out? And all of a sudden, news breaks out. Maybe if it's equities, it's an earnings report. If it's Forex, Trump decides he's gonna like nuke Vietnam or something, and then something will move, right? So something big changing, a large catalyst will cause something to actually, spark the fumes and ignite the fire. So, oh my God. There's another, I'm sorry guys, another package is being delivered. Jesus Christ. The joys and curse of living in a metropolitan area. You either get a dump truck, you get a fucking gardener, or Amazon packages just being delivered ad nauseum. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. So, long story short, you see this trading range developing, and you're sitting here staring at it. You're like, okay, clearly you have an argument one way or the other. What's going to be the catalyst that causes it to jump? Typically in equities, it'll be an earnings report. Again, in Forex, it'll be some sort of news event. Like, for example, with all the USD pairs, that the Chinese, the tariffs that Trump has imposed on China caused them to jump, right? But they're in clear trading ranges, and you didn't know what was going to cause them to jump until the trading range initiates the action. Well, right now, we're in that situation right now, right? We're in a clear trading range. There's a very strong argument for a reaccumulation. What's going to be the catalyst? Well, this could be potentially that. So you may be asking, well, if that's the catalyst, why isn't it jumping yet? Well, because it just tested support. I I would not fully expect it to just launch off with this news. I'm sure there's going to be some other sort of news that would cause it to spring off of this support. But it makes perfect sense now why there would be a reaccumulation trading range now, right? If you've got a major player that's trying to run a futures market, they need physical Bitcoin to settle the futures contracts. Well, it makes sense now. You've got all these big dudes on in Wall Street. You want to get in on the action, insider trading. Well, that would be a very good explanation for why there would be a reaccumulation trading range. Not only that, but for the positioning of the reaccumulation trading range, right? I've talked about this several times on Twitter that it's very interesting. So if you see the hypodermic trend line here, it's very interesting that all of the accumulation has gone on above the hypodermic trend line. The hypodermic trend line is just where you have the parabolic curve, and then the hypodermic trend line is where it deviates from that curve and actually goes more parabolic than it initially was. So we see the parabolic curve here, and then from here we see it go boop, it pops out, and this is called it's called a hypodermic trend line. I didn't make up that trend line. I didn't make up that term. That's an actual Wyckofffian term. So right here, it's very interesting that this accumulation has occurred right where the hypodermic trend line has broken out, found support, and this is right where the major media cycle hit. Right around Thanksgiving, if you're an American, and that's where mom and dad, all the weakest hands that could have bought Bitcoin, started entering the market, right? Because all the OG guys, all the so-called holders, they're not going to sell, right? They're just not going to sell anyway. So good luck shaking them out. They've already decided I'm holding this till the very fucking end, right? The people that are going to get shaken out though are these guys, the guys that bought the upper 70% of the parabolic curve, from 6,000 to 20K, right? These are going to be the weakest hands. These are mom and dad, the people who don't know really what they're buying. They're just kind of buying the media hype. So they're going to get shaken out the easiest. And it makes sense. So I think there's a really great argument for this being a reaccumulation. And I'm saying reaccumulation and not accumulation, because if you look at it from this gigantic trading range perspective, this just looks like a temporary, blow off into a reaccumulation. Like this is like an overthrow of the trend. Of the trading range, rather. So anyway, that's my take on it. I'm currently long. I started opening positions on a few alts, and I can talk about that in a second if you'd like. But until then, do you guys have any questions about anything I said? A 1080 Ti? No, I just bought it. I did buy a 1080, but not a 1080 Ti. I don't need a Ti, and it's like double the money. Looks like a head and shoulders in the making. I'm not quite sure I see that. Death, taxes, and Schmidt's dog. I know, man. So that's the thing about streaming in the middle of the day. There's like dump trucks and just like vagrants sifting through garbage. So all this stuff, my dog's just like hyper alert at the moment. Where do you see... Okay, question is, what if we retrace back to the lower trend line, accumulation still in play? What lower trend line? Do you mean the lower boundary of the trading range, this guy? Yeah, so just because it pops up and goes down to the lower boundary of the trading range, that doesn't invalidate the reaccumulation. It just changes it, that's all. Yeah, it doesn't invalidate it. Where do you see the next tests being? Well, we just had one. A very important test. I mean, we're having it right now. If you're looking at it from a daily perspective, you know, like it just hit its low and it's just kind of chilling here. What I would like to see is volume expanding off of this test. I think we kind of chill here for, you know, maybe a day, but it is Friday. Fuckery Fridays, right? Fridays are always crazy for Bitcoin. So maybe we'll see that the gigantic green bean in the sky here, or red beans and rice, and it just goes to all shit. But I'm putting my money on the long, so. The volume profile doesn't fit a head and shoulders. I don't even see what head and shoulders you're talking about. And so, oh, so here's the other thing too. With this BUEC, even the volume profile looks really good. Going down into the test, we see decreasing volume. And I'd be willing to bet if we did, yeah, 6-hour chart here. This is exactly what we like. This is exactly what we would want to see going down into support here. You know, we see decreasing volume. And then as it hits support, we see a surge of volume, meaning that there's a lot of buyer activity going on here. So like this is all the hallmarks of a BUEC/LPS test. Where do you see smaller time frame trading range? I don't see a lower time frame trading range. What price action would make you change your mind about this being a JAC? You mean like invalidating this sort of thing? Well, one major thing would be if you know we broke through this 50, that'd be a big red flag. And keep in mind that even if this does retrace and it does keep going down, until this breaks through here, this is still a jump across the creek. Until the reaccumulation argument is invalidated, this is still a jump across the creek, right? Yeah, no, if it goes deeper and it breaks this 50% retracement, you know, 50% from here to here, then that would set off some red flags. But you know, it seems okay right now. And also it's starting to close, you know, we're obviously several hours out from the daily close, but this could close a hammer here. Gigantic inverse head and shoulders. Yeah. Do you think alts will, okay, so the question is, do you think alts will always follow Bitcoin or break away the next bull run? I think alts will always follow Bitcoin, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, until the end of time, Bitcoin will rule the world. But I mean, for a reasonable amount of time, yes, they will be bound to Bitcoin. It is the pair that the most alts are traded on. Bitcoin is the big dick in town. It's the guy that Wall Street cares about. And so obviously there are smaller composite operators, but you know, I'd be willing to bet that the large guys like JP Morgan don't really give a shit about Siacoin. You know what I mean? Dude, look at your 61%. This is on Twitch, by the way, guys. Dude, look at your 61% fib. There's a zone, a hard zone. Okay, I don't really know what the hell that means. A hard zone. I see us making a 5-wave up on the daily for any Elliott traders. Yeah, I don't know shit about Elliott wave. Too much stuff to learn, and Elliott wave just doesn't jive with me at the moment. I mean, alts are traded against Bitcoin. Yeah, that's what I just said, brah. So let's go ahead and look at, I'll show you some of the coins that I'm currently in positions on, and I'll tell you why I entered the positions. So last night I took a long on Litecoin because it's making this like Adam and Eve double bottom sort of bro here, which also happens to be the bottom of the macro trading range. So if we look at Litecoin here, it broke down to the bottom of the trading range, and follow this like dashed line here as I zoom in. So it broke through the trading range, came down, had a retest, and now it's kind of just chilling here. But yeah, I'm playing this like Adam and Eve double bottom sort of dealio here, which I'm not really digging this retracement here, but I'm still in the long. I think it's a good entry at the bottom of the trading range if it does rally. If not, then I'll just get out. No big deal. Also currently a little underwater on my stellar Lumen trade, but I'm still in it because of this gigantic fucking consolidation that it's in, and if it breaks north, then yippee skippy, that'll be a great payday. But yeah, I got in like somewhere here, so a little underwater, but I'm just gonna hang on to it. Also long on Siacoin here, the golden pony. Also a little underwater on that one too, but again, not too worried about it. It's, you know, sitting right on top of the last accumulation trading range, and it is wicking currently. But across the board, it does look like alts are capitulating. Like we're seeing just like low volume free fall where demand isn't really picking up, and that falls right in line with what we'd expect from a macro Bitcoin move. So there's a confluence of stuff going on here that I think is worth trading. So I'm gonna obviously place my bets and trade accordingly. Is there a free section in your Discord to see if I like the community / traders you got there? Thanks in advance. You mean just like to see the list, or to see like the conversations? Can you look at Golem? Yeah, I can look at Golem. I'll look at a couple of coins. Whoa, look at this fucking bro right here. So this volume profile sucks. I don't like Binance charts. I firmly believe that their volume is all fake. I think there's a lot of wash trading going on over there. Okay, Poloniex looks good. Yeah, so here's another example of just an alt that's just falling, but it's in a nice falling wedge here, which it currently broke the bottom of. Yeah, it's got a little falling wedge sort of dealio. But it is falling into support. What does the cloud look like? Oh, yikes. Cloud looks like shit. What do the pivots look like? Whoa. What the fuck? There we go. Well, yeah, I personally wouldn't buy gold. I don't see any reason to think that it's going to stop falling. I mean, support is going to be down here, which lines up really well with this low. So, yeah, it broke to the bottom of this falling wedge, which isn't the best. So someone asked, September 21 is the SEC ETF decision. How does this fit into your macro picture? Maybe a breakout of the TR with good news? Yeah, could be. That would be another great catalyst for continuation of a potential uptrend. Do you mess with Verge at all? No. Not because I think it's like not worth trading, just because there's too many goddamn coins out there, man. Can't trade them all. Any opinions on Ether? Let's look at Ether. Oh, look at this. Let's go ahead and extend that line. So it's really hard because basically with these alts, you're walking around with an open hand trying to catch knives and hoping that it's not just going to puncture straight through your fucking hand. You're trying to like perfectly time it so that you can like clap the knife together and catch it like that. So I don't see any setups with these that say, yeah, definitely go long. But I mean, if this closes a bullish engulfing, maybe that'll give us some confidence, but I don't see any reason to go long here. There's nothing that says go long, nothing that's screaming, hey, long this shit, you know? There is a potential double bottom working out here, but that's kind of like the meme of the crypto market right now. It's like, oh, a double bottom, and then just, or inverted head and shoulders, and then it just, you know, shit's all over the place. What is Ether's role in the alt market? To make ICOs money? I don't know. I'm not sure what you're asking. So someone from Twitch asks, who said, is there a free section of your Discord to see the community / traders you got there? And I asked him what he was specifically referring to, and he said, more like conversations and how typical membership looks. For example, is it more of a spoon-fed group or helping to understand and grasp the concepts? Never was in such a group, so I'm kind of uninformed. Show your membership in short. Honestly, like as someone who's run a trading community for the past year, which, goddamn, in this ecosystem, it's what am I like the oldest trading community in crypto right now? Like they pop up and disappear so fucking fast. No, I've never put an emphasis on spoon feeding concepts to people. Basically, the whole premise of my trading group has always been to foster conversation and come to a group consensus on both the market and the direction of the market. So like at any time, like if you look at any of the conversation, it's never, it's never geared toward, we're all going long here, we're all going short here. Everyone's doing different shit, you know? And everyone's discussing their reasons why, and we're constantly expanding ideas. Like if you joined my community a year ago, it would look completely different than what it is now. I mean, if you've been following me on stream, my trading strategy has evolved a lot. And I think the trading strategy I'm using now is probably going to be one that I'm going to stick with for a while because it's been the most reliable, and that's one that emphasizes Wyckoff principles. And And that's something that like I've really tried to push on to people in the trading group, and that's what a lot of people use. It's like one of the cornerstones of the strategy that a lot of people use. Not everyone, but a lot of people in my trading group use, because it's been consistently reliable. Obviously, like you can misread the trading ranges and stuff like that, but anyway, long story short, there's no spoon feeding. It's not a signals group. It's not I'm going long, so go long. It's more of a discussion, and I think that's long term. I think that's the best solution for learning how to trade. It's not being spoon fed concepts. This is in real time the discussions we're having and why we're having them and what we're looking for. So if you're interested in joining that sort of discussion, go to bitcoinschmitcoin.com and sign up today. Hope that answered your question. What is your criteria for selecting alts to watch and trade? My criteria is I don't give a shit what the asset is. First, I looked on a macro perspective for the trading range to see if there is a trading range, if it's an accumulation, if it's a markup, distribution, or markdown. And that is how I'll situate myself. If it's a choppy market that I can't read, I just don't even touch it. I don't buy on fundamentals. I buy on charts, and if they're coupled with fundamentals, then that's a plus. But I don't ever trade on just fundamentals. As someone who's been in this trading community for a year that came in knowing no TA, I have to say it has been an amazing learning experience. Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, I've had some guys that have been around for the past year, over a year now. It's been a year and a month since we first gave birth to the Bitcoin Schmitcoin trading community. Someone else had a question. I missed it. Oh well. Also, I took a long on EOS because it's also doing this memey little double bottom thing, but it's in a big fucking falling wedge. So if this breaks out of here, I'm expecting to see a pretty substantial move. The price target is like 30% move, so I guess it would be here, wouldn't it? Or 20% move, so 27.5. So the price target would be like, so it would be a 30% move. Yes, that's right. I said that right the first time. It would be somewhere up here. Price target for this thing is like way up here. So I got a long somewhere down here. It's a measly $99. Measly ass $99. Give it a try for a month. Great trading group. Yeah, I mean, I don't ever like to push my group on people, but for those that are interested, you know, it's available. And every few months I try to offer a discount. Like last month I tried to do 50% off, but like only a few people took me up on it. On a shorter time frame today, where would you look to add to your long? I wouldn't, is the short answer. And I'll tell you why. Because my long entry was 72.99. I got in right here. As soon as it broke the 50 EMA, I got the very bottom of that thing. And I don't see any reason to add to my long right now. I mean, it is kind of making this little like bull pennant thing. But it is kind of a shitty bull pennant. But maybe volume will kick in. But I'm really trying to trade a whole lot less intraday patterns because they suck right now. They're really unreliable. So I'm playing support levels and liquidity pools is how I've been trading this market lately. When you say long, do you mean a buy and hold or leverage position? I mean leverage position. I physically bought. I used cash. I pulled cash to buy Bitcoin on the spring and on the retest. So I bought it somewhere in here. I forget what my actual entry was. He was like, I think it was like 59 something, somewhere down here, maybe here. And then I added a bit here. But you also got to keep in mind though that my profits from trading stocks are also in Bitcoin. So I'm constantly adding to my position, my unleveraged position. And then whenever I see a good opportunity to amplify my gains, I'll throw a leverage position. That's why I went long, down here, because I thought it was a great setup from a Wyckoff perspective with the back up to the edge of the creek. So. Is there anywhere you would recommend putting money into the market right now? Do you mean like an exchange? What do you mean? Did you learn Wyckoff from Moku? Yeah, taught me everything I know. Oh, we can look at some stocks if you guys want to. Stocks are so hot right now. They're popping. I got a nice long on GoPro right now. I'm really excited about it. Gotta pay off that graphics card in the monitor I bought, so that's fun. Like an asset to buy? No, I don't ever recommend coins to people. I don't ever show coins to people. And I don't ever show positions to people. I'm like wholly against it. I'm never going to persuade anyone to enter a position. I'll post my entries and I'll post my argument for why I entered it, but I'll never be like, hey, you should think about doing this, or you should do this, or blah, blah, blah. Unless someone explicitly asks me in my trading community and they're like, hey, I have a long here with a stop loss here, like, what do you think about this? Then I'll assume a mentor type role, but I don't ever outright just be like, hey, everyone should buy the cheapy here because it's going to make you $1 bajillion. I'm not fucking McAfee. Please tell me you got that Tesla long from the last stream. No, I didn't. After getting fucked on earnings reports so many times, I stayed away from Tesla. I actually shorted it like a fucking idiot. I didn't short before the earnings report, but I shorted what I thought was a reversal pattern and just came up and it liquidated that position. But no, I did not catch that long, unfortunately, because the dice roll was too sketchy. Like. You open the problem with opening a position pre-earnings report is you're basically just hoping that you got right, because when it's after market hours, your hands are bound. You can't even fucking touch it, and then you're basically at the whim of whatever happens on the market open. So it would either be like how on Facebook, how people just got like negative 300% positions on one broker. I didn't want that to happen to me on Tesla, so I just stayed away from it. Okay, so everyone wants me to chart Tesla. Okay, so we'll talk about Tesla real quick. So I have typically when I have a trading range that I'm not really too confident about, I chart it as both a the reaccumulation argument and the distribution argument. So the blue is reaccumulation, red is the distribution argument. And I actually need to update this. So this would be another jump across the creek here. And the question is, does this reaccumulation argument still hold? And the answer is yeah. In my opinion, it does. This is no joke. This is sponsorship. This is what we'd be looking for. I'm currently looking to go long on a retest. So I do think there will be some pullback on it. You can already see it's starting to fade a little bit. And maybe on Monday it'll have a little bit of a gap down and then a rally, but I'm not looking to hold a Tesla position over the weekend and then wake up Monday morning to a stupid negative position for no reason. But yeah, the reaccumulation argument still does hold up. It looks great. So typically, so let's talk about this. Actually, this is very interesting. Typically, with reaccumulation trading ranges, and you see a jump across the creek and a back up to the edge of the creek, the BUEC. Like I said earlier with Bitcoin, you don't want to see more than a 50% retracement. And that's what Tesla got here. So we see here, and it retraced, I don't know, 90% of its move, which is a last point of support test nested into a terminal shakeout. So you can have a terminal shakeout still inside the trading range that bounces. This is an example of a terminal shakeout, one that just like, it looks like capitulation, but really it's set up for a larger move. And that's what we saw here. So the LPS test here, where it just punctured the bottom of the trading range, this thick blue line, and this pink line, which was a great liquidity pool. You can see here, this was the high, the previous high here. It just barely wicked below it. And I was sitting there talking to my Discord. I was like, man, I might long this. But I knew, so this was 3 days before earnings, and I just didn't want to get stuck in something that would end up doing this. So I was like, you know what? I've been eating enough shit on one broker as is, so I'll just sit back and play the more conservative move. And sometimes it's the smart move, and sometimes you miss out on profit, but that's okay. But anyway, that's what happened. So you see here the terminal shakeout, it just wicks below this pink line, which has historical significance, obviously. There's a liquidity pool there. And sure enough as shit, earnings report comes out, and although it's slightly less, it bounced because Elon Musk is a fucking pimp, and he fucking liquidated everyone. So liquidated them by hand. Went to their house and personally hosed them, because Elon does that kind of shit. He's petty, but I like him. I love him. So that's what happened with Tesla. I'm still of the opinion that this is going to mark up bigly once it breaks this trading range. There'll be such a large gap to leave unfilled. Yeah, sometimes gaps don't get filled. They don't always get filled. Like here's an example, right? So it gapped up and it kept running. This is a substantial move. It gapped twice actually. So 10% gap, never got filled. Typically, so this is something that I've recently learned, is that when you have a gap that moves on news or a breakout, it doesn't always get filled. Like if we look at AMD, for example, God damn GoPro, fucking love you. If we look at AMD, for example, it gapped up, and I'd be willing to bet this does not fill here. Sometimes it just happens, you know? Not all gaps are made to be filled. Jesus. So look at all these gaps here. Boom, gap, 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 gap. So if it's in strong enough hands and the trend is strong, then it just doesn't ever get filled. I mean, look at all these gaps here. So this is another one that I'm looking to play bigly, is AMD. I'm currently in a long right now, and I think it's underwater at the moment. Yeah, a little underwater. No big deal though. Did you, oh, sorry. If you draw a fib from a spring, then it's not that big of a retracement. So my personal take on drawing Fibonacci retracements is, I'm assuming you're talking about Tesla, I just read that. So my personal take is that I don't ever really like to just throw fibs on lows and just be like, okay, here's a retracement here. I want to see the retracement of a move, right? When I look at this move here, so this is just a quick, and you know, there's a lot of different ways to draw fibs, but this is just how I draw them. I want to see the retracement of a move, okay? This isn't, retracing here isn't a retracement of this move, right? It would be a retracement of this. So when we think about a retracement, it's going to be a reaction of the move. So the move went up and the reaction was it went down. Well, how far did it go down from the move? Well, here, this is like a 90% retracement or something stupid like that. It's not fair to say that this is a retracement of this move because, you know, it kind of did a whole lot of shit in here. It'd be more of, we're looking for a reaction of an impulse. This is the reaction of this impulse. And sometimes I'll even do fibs like, see if I can find an example. Like I'll draw fibs using volume as my basis. So if I were gonna draw a fib on Bitcoin, for example, I wouldn't necessarily want to draw the Fibonacci retracement of this, right? I would want to see, even though I know I did it earlier, I'm saying for the sake of like, I'm trying to give you an example here. Sometimes it makes more sense to draw the Fibonacci retracement from where the volume kicked in. Because I'm looking to see the reaction of an impulse, not necessarily a reaction of just like some random low. So depending on the move, I'll oftentimes do it like this. I'll look for the volume, I'll go here, and I'm like, okay, widespread, volume is clearly reacting from that spread. What is the reaction of the impulse? So that's just another way to draw it too. Ask this on Twitter. Could the spring on Bitcoin just be another retest? I'm not sure what you mean. When are you doing TA in Bitcoin? Already did that, brah. Did that like an hour ago. Just a little tip. If I ever get like messages that just say a coin ticker on it, I will never respond to them. We're all human beings, man. Let's talk to each other like human beings. I'm not a jukebox. Worst case for Bitcoin, it goes to 0. That is a hyper vague question, my friend. Can you look at PRTK? What the hell is PRTK? Is that a stock ticker? PRTK. Oh, pharmaceuticals. Oh shit. Whoa. Oh, they just had earnings, huh? Or is that today? Okay. Oh, okay, barely underperformed. Let's see. Wow. That is a beautifully performing downtrend. Look how it just respects that 50 EMA. Very sinusoidal. Let's see. They don't have revenue yet, product not released, but I'm wondering about the bottom. I want to buy the bottom. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone doesn't. Everyone wants to buy the bottom. I mean, this is a good guess, but if it falls down, it's gonna shit everywhere. I see no reason why I would personally buy this. I mean, maybe for a scalp because it blew through this low. It took out this low, but there's a very good possibility that this is going to fill this gap and drop 30%. I wouldn't touch this, personally. I think there's a good shot that you get FDA approval later this year. Well, maybe you might want to wait until later this year to wait and find out. Because if this drops, it's going to drop hard. It's going to drop all the way down here, most likely. Are there any alts that you are excited about on a fundamental basis? To be honest with you, I haven't been doing a lot of fundamental research. I've been mostly looking at stocks and trading the Bitcoin charts, not necessarily the fundamentals of everything. I mean, yeah, I'm obviously keeping track of like the big news events. We in my trading group, we have a constant news feed of people who are just posting stuff, and every now and then, I'll poke in there and see what the kids are talking about. But I mean, one thing that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not a tech guy, so take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But I thought Nano was pretty cool. The way that they do the instant transactions, like the method behind they do the transactions, is pretty cool. It's currently eating a plate of shit right now, though. But yeah, I think Nano is pretty cool. Going all in on Ripple for sure. No, I'm just kidding about that. I think Ripple is kind of a scam, but like a legit scam. I don't think it's like Tone Vase always like Ethereum is BitConnect. Like I don't think it's like that. I think Ripple is like Ripple, not the company, XRP the token. The fact that it's traded makes no sense to me. So. What would need to happen for this to be a distribution? Oh boy, that is a long discussion for another night. That is a discussion we could have for hours. Are you trading Asian stocks too? No, I'm not. I'm trying to trade shit that allows me to sleep the most. If I trade Asian stocks, I'm gonna be up all night. I already trade Forex, so that's stressful enough because of how late the markets run. Oh, fuck you, crude oil. Man, I was in a nice short position. I got stopped out right here. Jesus. Oh, no way. It stopped me out by a penny. Oh my God, it did. It totally did. My stop was at 69.2. Wow. Fuck you, crude oil. What was the size of that move? Oh my God. What a buzzkill. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Stay safe out there. Don't stare at the charts too long. If you're interested in joining my trading community and you like my trading style and want to learn more about it, go to bitcoin.com and sign up today. Also, you can follow me on One Broker. I post equities and commodities and Forex and all that other fun stuff on there as well. So look me up there. Probably going to install my new graphics card now and play some video games while I wait to close my GoPro position, which is super green right now. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your summer. Bye. That's all I got.